Hey everybody, welcome to The Way You Are with Vince the Vampire, the podcast where a vampire, formerly in an ice cream truck, listens to people telling stories to discover what it means to be human. This time I am in my lair. On today's episode, I am joined by Ohio University student Zach Carson. Hello, Zach.
Hi, Vince. I'm Zach, and I'm a student here at Ohio University. I'm a major in accounting, and some things I like to do is just, play video games, hang out with the friends, and take a lot of naps. That's what I like to do.
I am joined as well by my friend Greg the Goblin, who is our DJ. Say hello, Greg.
Howdy. Happy to be here.
All right, let's get started. Now, you're probably wondering why I am in my lair this week instead of in my ice cream truck as per usual.
Oh, so you're usually in an ice cream truck?
Yeah, typically that's where I record these podcasts, but unfortunately I can't do that anymore. I feel as though this may be our final episode, as sad as that is to say.
Wait, what happened?
Well, you see, some time ago I found out I was scammed by a telemarketer, and I was tricked into buying $500 Walmart gift cards. So the other day I was on the phone with Walmart trying to get my money back, but they would not give it to me. I was talking to them while I was driving, and, well, I got a little distracted, and I accidentally drove my ice cream truck off a cliff.
Holy moly.
What the fuck? You survived that?
I turned into a little bat and flew out the window. But anyways, I was getting frustrated with them. I was not even paying attention to the road. And where there was road, now there was not.
So is this like the last episode? Like, for real?
Well, yeah, possibly. I don't know how it can continue without my ice cream truck, because that's where I store my ice cream, and right now I only have one SpongeBob popsicle left. So Zach, when this is over, you can have it. I'm glad you saw all the signs I posted around my lair for free ice cream.
Yeah, me too. And I'm glad I took the risk, considering the possibility of, getting kidnapped for human trafficking and stuff.
Trafficking? No, the road was clear when I fell off the cliff.
Speaking of falling, I have a pretty good story about that. So for context, my girlfriend and I in high school, we've been dating for like 2 or 3 years, but her dad was super strict, and he didn't work because he was a bum, so he always stayed at home, right? So, we could never go over to her house after school because obviously her dad was home. So we would just go to my house because my parents worked like normal people, and I lived on the second floor, right? So my girlfriend comes over, and we're upstairs doing boyfriend-girlfriend things that you do in high school, and my mom comes home. And granted, we've been dating for probably like 3 years, right? Like, my mom is very chill as a person in general, and she knows my girlfriend, so I'm like, hey, my mom's home. It's kind of awkward, right? But we should just walk downstairs like a normal, couple, and then we can just leave, and like it's like nothing ever happened. But she was like, oh God, no, I can't do that. I cannot let your mom see me. That would be so embarrassing. And I'm like, no, but okay, what's the other option? She's like, well, I'll just go out the window. And I'm like, I live on the second story of a building, and it's a high second story. So I'm like, no, there's no way that you are going to jump out the window when we could just go downstairs. And she's like, no. If your mom will tell my dad, then my dad will ground me, and we have to go out the window. And in my head, I'm like, this is insane. But I don't see any other way out of it. I even went downstairs and tried to convince my mom to leave the building, but she was staying home because she was obviously home from work. So to cover my ass, I took her phone, my girlfriend's phone, and I just had her record herself saying that she is jumping out the window of her own volition and from no coercing from me. Because in my head, I'm thinking she's breaking a leg, 100% jumping out this window. And I didn't want to be responsible for this. I don't want to pay her medical bills. So I was like, you know what? I'm making sure that this is not my fault. I can't be blamed here. In hindsight, I don't think it would have covered me that well. Because, I could have been coercing her to make that video, which I wasn't. But, either way. So eventually we open the window and she slowly scoots out and I lean out the window and I like she grabs me, I grab her arm, she grabs mine, and I just lean as far as I can. I'm basically hanging out the entire window and she's just dangling. And I drop her and she hits the ground with a thud. And I'm like, oh, she's dead. But then she gets up and she's like, I'm fine, whatever. So she just runs to the end of the street and I go downstairs and I'm like, hey mom, I need to go to the bank, which is complete cap because I never go to the bank ever. I'm like 16. I have no reason to go to the bank, but I couldn't think of a better excuse because I needed to leave for like a decent amount of time because my girlfriend lived on the other side of the city. So I was like, yeah, mom, I need to go to the bank. And my mom does not care at all. She's like, okay, yeah, go to the bank. So I go outside, I hop in my car, and I pick up my girlfriend at the corner. And, you know, then I drive her home and I come back. My mom says nothing. And then we go on with my life like nothing ever happened. But there's permanently a video of her just recording herself saying she's going to jump out a window. And my entire family knows now, and it's like their favorite story ever. But I was terrified to tell anybody for so long because I just, was scared someone would find out. But yeah, that's my story of jumping out of a window or falling.
So since I am a vampire,
Mm-hmm.
I don't, I don't have the best idea of what humans do or the way that they think.
Uh-huh.
So when you say you are doing boyfriend-girlfriend things, what exactly are you referring to?
I'm not sure exactly what was going on during that time. Because I mean, she came over a lot, so like, I don't know exactly what we did at the moment, but I would say, I mean, neither of us were virgins at this time, is what I'll say. Do with that info what you wish, but it's not things you want your mom or dad to see you doing. I would say at least.
So that is why her dad would have potentially grounded her.
Not even for that, just like lying to her in general, because she would come over to my house a lot, but I think she would always say like she had something else to do, like she was going to band or something. I don't know what she would say, honestly. But I think just like her dad was super strict and very weird anyway, so like anything that like she would do that he wouldn't like, she would probably ground him for. It didn't matter what, we could have just been like sitting there watching a movie.
So did he not like you very much? Did you get along with him? Or
I honestly don't know. Like, even to this day, I mean, I know he hates me now, but I don't know during the moment if he liked me at all. I don't really know if he liked anybody, honestly. He had this, like, one weird girlfriend whose name I don't remember, but she was kind of psycho, but I think he liked her, but she was definitely crazy. But I don't know if he liked me, honestly.
So that recording
Mm-hmm.
that you took of your girlfriend at the time, I presume.
Yes, not anymore, not anymore.
Okay. So this recording that you spoke of,
Mm-hmm.
After this had occurred, this whole event, did you end up showing that to anybody, or did you keep it?
The recording wasn't on my phone, and it was on my girlfriend's phone, and it was still a story that she didn't like. Like, she was honestly telling it to her friends, right? So I think our friends might have seen the recording, but my family never saw the recording, obviously, because I never got a hold of it. I wish I did. I should have had her send it to me. I don't know why I didn't. But no, I don't even like remember the recording at all. I know I took it, and I know it's a thing that happened, but I couldn't tell you really what she said and like how we acted. I think I was laughing the entire time, and I think she was very genuinely upset. But I don't know anything like where the recording is. I assume it's deleted. I would be shocked if for some reason she still had it. That'd be very odd. But if she hears this and wants to send it to me, that'd be cool. I'd look at it. It'd be funny. But yeah, I have no idea.
Now, my last question involves the window.
Of course.
When you were hanging out of it, you
Yes.
said it was very high off the ground. Were you like scared at all? Were you like nervous?
I personally was not scared. For me, I was definitely scared for her. Also, something that adds a little like grossness to the story that I forgot to mention before is I was very lazy in high school. I never wanted to walk downstairs, and neither did my friends. we pissed a lot out that window. I'm gonna be honest, and I don't know if all of it ever made it out the window every time. Like, there's definitely some yellow stains on the windowsill of this window. It's like it was dry, but we were definitely like hanging on piss for sure. Also, her window, I mean, not her window, my window faced directly, like, it was probably only like 15 feet away from the neighbor's window, and their identical houses just mirrored. So if they were in their second story, they would have been staring right at us, like, when we dropped out the window. And I also thought about that every time I pissed out the window. I was like, there could be someone staring at me right now, and I would have no idea, because it's like, it's dark. I can't see. But no, I wasn't scared of me falling out the window. I was just scared she was going to snap a leg, and then I had to, the jig was up, and it was a whole lot worse than what it could have been.
You know, Vince, you seem a bit down today. Is everything alright?
Oh, I am just bummed out about this being the last episode, I guess.
Well, you need a new ice cream truck, right?
Yeah, but I don't have the money. I spent it all on Walmart gift cards.
And why don't you just ask your parents for a handout?
Oh. Well, I do not talk to them very much anymore.
Why not?
You see, I am vegan. I do not drink blood like other vampires. I only drink the juices of blood oranges. But this is not a popular thing in vampire society. When I was much younger, I was dabbling in veganism, and I was drinking the blood orange juice in my room. Suddenly, my father walked in without knocking, and he saw me drinking it.
What happened?
Well, he did not like it, to say the least. He confronted me about it, and I told him how I am vegan and would never drink human blood again. Not after. Well, I won't get into all that. But he did not take this idea lightly. I was banished from vampire society, and I have not talked to him since.
Wow. When was this? When did this happen?
I was a teenager when this happened, so around 6, maybe 700 years ago.
You talked about your dad walking in on you, and that reminded me of a time when I had someone walk in on me. So, back in high school, I was on family vacation with obviously my family and, the girlfriend from the previous story. And her dad had always been very strict throughout the years that I dated her. So I was shocked that in the first place he was even going to let her go on this family vacation with me and my family. He did have some ground rules though, and basically being we had to sleep in separate rooms, which I was fine with. Like, I mean, like, obviously I was a little bummed, because I was like a horny 11th grader. But I mean, I was still down with it. My girlfriend got to go, and it was great. So we had this cabin, and we were in Tennessee, and it was honestly more like a small house, really. There's a living room, couple bedrooms, but most importantly, above the living room, there was this loft that you couldn't see into from the living room, but if you were in the loft, you could obviously like look over and see everyone in the living room. So my girlfriend's room was in the loft, and then my bedroom was just in one of the hallways in the house. It's not really important. But a lot of times I would just go up there to the loft with my girlfriend, and we would just hang out up there. And my parents didn't really care, like we were definitely doing stuff upstairs. Cause I mean, like, we were in high school, and I don't know what my parents thought we were doing up there all the time. Cause we would go like swimming in the pool, right? And then go back upstairs. Like I'd go up to the loft, and then I would come downstairs later, like clothed, not in my swimsuit anymore. So like clearly I changed clothes. So I don't know. I thought the writing, was kind of on the wall. It was pretty obvious. But one time I'm upstairs in the loft, right? And my two parents are downstairs in the living room watching The Sixth Sense on the TV. And so we've been upstairs for a little bit, and my girlfriend, starts, giving me, we're doing like, boyfriend, girlfriend things, right? And all of a sudden, my mom, like a ninja, comes up the stairs. It's like this long spiral staircase, and it's not carpeted, it's hardwood floor, but she ninjas her way up the stairs, right? And sees my girlfriend giving me sloppy toppy right in front of her. And she goes, "Oh, no, no, no," and then turns around and walks right back down the stairs and says nothing. I put my head in my hands. It was like the most embarrassing moment of my life. But who sees their kids doing this and just responds with, "Oh no, no," and goes back downstairs? So my girlfriend's like in shambles, crying. I'm just like, bro, my mom just saw my penis like fully out. Like, what do I do in this situation? And I was like, I feel like I can't just sit up here. So I walked back downstairs to like see, like, face the wrath, right? And they're just watching The Sixth Sense. So like they say nothing. I sit down next to him, watch essentially the entirety of The Sixth Sense. Never seen it before. Great movie when I saw it. Um, at some point near the end of the movie, or maybe right after it, my mom goes back upstairs and talks to my girlfriend for a bit. I don't really know what they talked about. But it didn't like, I don't think it was mean or anything. I think she just like, you know, just wanted to be like, hey, like, don't do that or whatever. But eventually, like, we go to bed, and at this point, I assume my dad knows, obviously, but like, I don't know for sure. And we wake up the next morning, and my girlfriend and I are out on the porch. Like, there's like this porch overlooking the forest, what yada yada. And we're just like drinking coffee, and my mom comes out onto the porch, and she's like, hey guys, I just wanted to let you know, like, when I was a teenager, I did dumb stuff too. But I'm not gonna tell anybody. Like, I'm not gonna tell your girlfriend's dad, and like, I'm not gonna tell anyone else in the family. Like, it'll just be like, you guys messed up, blah blah blah. It'll be a little secret. And I'm like, all right, cool, thanks, mom. Like, I'm glad she's like being like, chill about it or whatever. Um, but then that same night, my mom gets plastered and tells the entire family who's there, and there's like 8 people there, that exactly what happened. And this has become since like a family favorite story, of course, which is really awkward because I'm not dating that girl anymore, and I have a new girlfriend, a longtime girlfriend, and it's really awkward when she's over at a family event, and they're like, "You remember that one time that you were getting sloppy toppy from your girlfriend on a family vacation?" I'm like, that is not the same person, and it's just really awkward to have to like hear that story over and over again. Like, personally, I don't mind it, but I know my girlfriend hates hearing it. But yeah, that was definitely a really embarrassing moment when my mom walked in on us right there.
So when you were sitting, watching that movie with your parents, you said it was very awkward. I mean, what was like, were you focusing on the movie at all, or was it just,
I would say it depends. At the beginning, like when I first walked downstairs, it was insanely awkward. Because I assumed both my parents knew, and they were just like didn't know what to say. So I was not really paying attention to the movie. I just was waiting for something to happen. But I'm a very easily distracted person, and like the longer I sat there, I was like, "Huh, movie." And I'm gonna be honest, I think I forgot for at least like an hour and a half what was happening because the movie's long, and I watched the entire thing. I don't know how I was watching the movie for at least the better half of the movie. Um, so I don't know how long I was really thinking about it, but I think when my mom got up and walked upstairs, it kind of clicked in my head again. But I definitely forgot for a decent amount of the movie, but it was still really awkward when I think about it.
so another thing, you know your mom more than me, so uh,
True.
what, I mean, what do you think was going through her head when she first saw you getting, as you said, looking at my notes here, uh, sloppy toppy?
This has got to be one of like the most cursed images in my head is my mom like walking up there in her face of just like her seeing her son getting his man meat mangled on, but like I have no idea what she was thinking because to just walk up there say oh no and then walk right back downstairs has got to be like the weirdest response possible. Like, she didn't say stop, she didn't say what are you doing, she didn't say gross, I don't know, she just said oh no and walked downstairs. Like, I have no idea what she was thinking. I've thought about it a lot like after that. um and I think she was just like she didn't want my dad to know. Not that my dad would have been like incredibly upset, I think, but just to like keep it less awkward even for herself to have to tell my dad and the rest of the family. That's what I thought until she got like drunk and told everybody, but like I don't know what she was thinking. I wish I did, but maybe I don't at the same time because I don't want to know what my mom thinks about that situation. I don't know. It's so strange, but I have no idea what she was thinking.
So it sounds like you had a lot of interesting experiences with this person, but you've said that you're not with her anymore. So what happened?
Well, that's a long story. I started dating this girl in 7th grade. Okay, like super early. Like, are you really dating somebody in 7th grade? I don't know, but we were dating, quote unquote, right? And then I think at the end of 8th grade year, we broke up, and then in freshman year, or maybe it was sophomore year, I don't remember exactly. We started dating again. Um, and then we dated through the rest of high school until like the last like month, right? But for the last year or a half of the relationship, I was pretty checked out. Um, and it's my fault that it went on for another year and a half. But I just never had a good reason to break up with her. I was waiting for like a big fight or like something, but there just was never like a big event for me to be like, oh, this is a good time to do it. So it just kept dragging on and on and on. And what made it worse was like she was still like super into me. And like I don't think she realized what was really going on, that I was like, kind of checked out. She was super into me and I was just kind of there existing. Um in senior year, she eventually we were having some kind of argument, and she asked me like, "Do you really want to like date me in the future?" And I was like, this is my chance. And I was like, honestly, no. I was like, I don't plan on dating after high school. But this shouldn't have been like a big shock to her, because I had told her throughout high school that like I didn't plan on dating her like in college. Like it just wasn't something I planned on doing. We were a high school couple, and I think that was like as far as it was gonna go. But I think she like continuously ignored this advice. But so we broke up that day, right? I was really sad, right? Which to me was strange, because number one, I do not get sad. I'm a very like unemotional person, and I can count probably on one hand the amount of times I've like cried in the past like 10 years, right? When I broke up with her, I cried, and I called my sister because she's like a child like psychologist or therapist or whatever, and I was like, "What's going on?" And she was like, "You just had like a big life change. It's normal to like cry and be sad, even if you didn't think you were like super like into this person. They've been like very consistent in your life for such a long time." I was like, oh, "Okay, that makes sense." But then like the next day, I completely forgot she said that, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm sad. That must mean this is the wrong decision." So I was like, "Hey, we should get back together." And she was like, "Oh my god, I'm so glad you said that." So we got back together, and then her, me, and 8 other friends, we had a trip coming up in like 4 days to Tennessee, right? And obviously, when we broke up for like the day or two, she had backed out of the trip. But now that she was back, we were back together. She's like, "Oh, like I'm back in the trip," and I was like, "All right, cool, whatever." But her dad was like, "No, you can't go on this trip. Like, I don't want you to go." And he told me, he's like, "If you really love her, you won't go on the trip either, and you're gonna stay home with her." And first off, I was like, "Fuck that, I'm not doing that." And also, I was driving the van like that was hauling everybody. Like it was my dad's van. I was the one driving it. So like there was no way I could do that. Even if I like wanted to stay, I would screw over everybody else. So I never would have done that. Um, but anyway, then we went on the trip, and she stayed at home, which sucked for her, of course, right? But while I was there, I ended up developing like a super huge crush on like another girl at the trip, on the trip, right? But eventually, I broke up with the original girlfriend again. Um, we end up eventually we break up, right? I think we'd only been like back together for like a week, and for that entire week I was in Tennessee anyway, so we weren't really back together at all. But we broke up, and that same day I went out to dinner with two of my friends, and while we were there, the girl that I had a crush on, she sent a message in like this big group chat we had, and she was like, guys, she was like, I think she was just joking, but she was like, damn, if someone showed up with ice cream right now at my house, that would be crazy. My friends were like, Zach, you gotta do it. And I was like, guys, I can't. Like, I broke up with the girl I've been dating for 4 years, like today. Like, that is criminal. There is no way I can deliver ice cream to the girl I have a crush on the same day. And they're like, yeah, but you can, though. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I guess I can. So then I did. I went to like the local ice cream place. I got it, drove across town, and I show up at the front porch of the girl I have a crush on, and her dad's on the front porch too. I'm like, damn, like this is bad, like this is awkward. But then she just comes down, she grabs her ice cream, she's like, oh my god, Zach, like thank you so much, blah 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 blah. And then I give her the ice cream, and I leave, and like I was like, my heart was racing. I was like, damn, that's insane that I did that. Um, but then like like a week later, we started like texting or whatever. And now I've been dating that girl for 3 years, And it's like, was it the right decision for me to do? Like, for me, yes. Was it the morally correct decision? Absolutely not. It is like a horrible thing I did. Um, and I'm pretty sure like she hates me. I know her friends hate me, and I completely understand. But yeah.
So earlier in the story,
Mm-hmm.
you said something about you and your previous girlfriend being a high school couple.
Yes.
Uh, can you kind of define what you mean by that for me?
Yeah, I think a lot of times when you're in high school, um, at least the way I think about it, I know everyone doesn't think the same way, but when you're dating somebody in high school, first off, you're new to the whole idea of like relationships and whatnot. So there's a lot of like learning and experimenting of like what you can do and what you shouldn't. And I think a lot of people in high school, you're not dating with the intention of, oh, I'm gonna marry this somebody. Or like if you do, it's because it's your people like it's when people have like their first experience with like love or whatever. And so like, oh my God, like I'm gonna marry this person. But I think it's like incredibly real like unrealistic. And I've always been a real like realist person. So I was like, like this girl's cool for high school. But I don't think we don't think we would work like later in life, and I don't really just want to stick with one person my entire life that I started dating in high school and then like never know what else is out there. But I know some people in high school, like my best friend, he dated his girlfriend all through high school, and now they're married, and they'll probably stay married. But I just think for me, a high school couple is much like it's very casual, and obviously you're very young and you're immature, so there's just a lot you've never experienced, and so it's hard to stay with that person when you've never like had like adult difficulties together. So I just felt like it was fine for high school, but I didn't really want to pursue it after that.
I find it interesting that you say uh, that you found it casual, but it didn't seem to me that your previous girlfriend felt that way either. So is it like everybody has their own kind of thoughts on high school relationships, I guess?
Yeah, I think it comes a lot into like the idea of like your first love or whatever. Because like we were both each other's like first like love, quote unquote, right? I'm much more focused on like the real life aspects, and I'm not a very like emotional person, right? So like I don't know if like that love obviously like impacted me as much. Like for her, she was kind of like like blinded by love. Like I think for anyone else besides her, it was very obvious that I was like checked out and like I wasn't like in it as much as she was. But she didn't see that. She was very like she was into me a lot, and she thought it was going like both ways. So for her, yeah, it definitely was not casual. And yeah, I'd say each person has their own ideas on it and whatnot. Like obviously my friends that got married, like it wasn't very casual for them, or maybe it started that way, but yeah, the way I think of it in a much more casual way. Not saying it doesn't matter, but I think pursuing it with the intent of marrying and not just the intent to like have fun and enjoy time with somebody is like the wrong way to go about it, for me at least.
I see. You talked a bit at the end about how you don't think you did the morally correct thing, but you did the correct thing for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to the debate of self-care versus selfishness,
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that.
I would say I honestly am probably a selfish person. Like in general, I think I favor myself over others. If you spend a lot of time working for others or like trying to please them, whatever, you leave little time for yourself. And I think my current girlfriend definitely is like the complete opposite of me. She spends all her time, trying to help others, and I think she doesn't spend enough time on herself. And like you can tell sometimes, like when someone's like sad or whatever. And so like my goal is to always like never be that way. So there is definitely a difference between selfishness and self care. I don't disagree. But I think I am definitely more in the selfish variety. I do things that are definitely selfish, but they're still like self care acts for myself. But what I did in that moment was definitely a combination of both. It was self care because like it was something like I wanted to be with this girl, and like it was good for me to do it. But it was selfish the way I did it. Like I could have waited like 2 weeks. There was an easy solution to it, but I just wasn't willing to do the easy solution, like the solution that was good for everybody.
So would you say that self-care is inherently selfish?
I think it depends on the level on like what self care you're talking about. Taking care of yourself in terms of like hygiene and stuff like that. No, it's not a selfish act because it doesn't harm anybody else. Um, but on the other hand, you could say like it doesn't help anybody else, so therefore it is selfish. Um, so I don't think it's like selfish in the like the way society thinks of selfish. There are versions of self care where like things that involve other people that sure they can be selfish, but I would say on average, you can do self-care for yourself. Or like self-care does not have to be selfish. I'd say on average, it's not by most people's standards. It's not selfish.
Well, thank you for sharing these stories with me, Zach. You've given me a lot to think about. Here is your SpongeBob popsicle. Sorry, it is halfway melted. I do not own a freezer, so it is slightly warm. Also, I believe the gumball has fallen off and rolled next to your left foot.
Thanks, Vince. I had a great time, honestly. See ya.
See ya. Goodbye. Well, Greg, I have to say that Zach's stories are really speaking to me.
What do you mean?
Zach was talking about, even though one relationship wasn't working, he didn't just give up entirely on relationships. He found a new one. And he convinced me that self-care is not selfish.
Yeah.
So just because I lost an ice cream truck doesn't mean I cannot get another one. See, I just found one on eBay for $22,000.
Well, you could set up a Patreon, maybe. Or like a GoFundMe.
Maybe they'll just accept the payment in Walmart gift cards. I have a ton of those. $15,000 in total. Perhaps we should go meet the seller, but we don't have a ride to get there.
Well, actually, I think I know someone who'd be willing to help us out. Thanks for giving us a lift to this person, Harry.
Don't mention it, sweet thing. Maybe later you can give me a popsicle for it.
Oh my god, are we there yet?
We're getting there. Only a few more turns. All right, here we are, sugar. Now, who's this feller you wanted to see?
I am not so sure. I messaged him that we were coming, so he should be here. But all I see is that little crow on the ground.
Did that crow just wave at us?
Maybe he's just being friendly.
Hang on, let's get out. Hi there.
Wow, you're the guy? But you're just a little crow.
Yeah, that's me. Wait, I recognize that voice. You're the damn scammer that got me into this mess in the first place. Oh, hey. I think I know you. You were the one yelling at me, right?
Wow, Vince, I didn't know you were so feisty.
Shut up. Anyway, Mr. Crow. It's Earl. Right. Earl. I don't have the money. But I do have these Walmart gift cards if you'd be willing to accept them. Maybe?
Well, how about this? You're making a podcast, right? Well, what if I take those gift cards and give you the truck, as long as you let me advertise my stuff on your podcast every now and then?
That sounds like a good idea. What do you think, Vince?
Well, I suppose that would be fine.
Awesome. Then a deal's a deal.
This is great. The podcast can continue after all.
Oh boy, it's going to be the most popular podcast this side of the Gold Star country. Can I be in it too?
Harry, listen. You can only be on the podcast when I am dead.
Wait, aren't you a vampire, and therefore technically already dead?
Yay, I get to be in the podcast. Vince, you'll probably not regret this.
Oh, motherfucker.
This has been a Life Crew Studios production.